Hey guys, welcome to Inside Canadian Real Estate, where we cover everything real estate from a uniquely Canadian perspective. Today we have an exciting guest on, a friend of mine, actually the managing broker at my office, Century 21, ATRIA Realty. Jenna's going to be here with us today, sharing a bunch of knowledge. We're going to be talking real estate. She's got some questions for me, apparently. I've got some questions for her, but we're going to be talking about real estate sales, the industry of sales, the general market conditions here, particularly in Toronto, in Vaughan, York region, and a bunch of other exciting things in the world of real estate. So we'll see where this goes. We'll see you in the interview.
Thanks, Darren, for coming into your own office today. Thanks
Yeah,
for coming to work.
Thanks for coming in. It's always a plus when you show up for work, so I'm sure everyone appreciates it.
Course.
Why don't we jump right in, Jenna? So tell me about you, because no one's going to know who you are yet at this point, but tell me about you, what you do, where we are today, and why we're here.
Sounds good. So we are at Century 21 Atria. We are at the newest location at the Vaughan office. We do have 4 locations in total. I manage this location. I've been in real estate for over 10 years. I did sell myself before, and now I manage this office.
Very good.
I come with a lot of background in real estate because both of my parents are realtors.
Yeah, that when I first joined, so I'm a real estate agent. That's one of the things, obviously, by trade that I am. And when I first joined the office, that was something that stuck out to me, like when I met you.
Really?
Was not just your real estate history, but like your family's background. So you lived it.
No, it matters because literally every dinner conversation was an issue that they were going through while they were doing some sort of deal, right?
Yeah. It brings so much more context to the career. So I think that was helpful for you, but also like the agents that you work with, you get to see both sides of it. Like you got to see like yourself growing up in it and the things that you saw or the questions that you had or the mentoring you got from them potentially gets to get passed down. So that was pretty cool.
Course. Yeah.
But what drew you? So you mentioned we're at Century 21 ATRIA Realty, which is a fairly large brokerage. Like talk about our brokerage.
Well, since before this office opened up, we were at 500 agents. Now we're hitting 600 total.
Wow.
Between the 4 locations. And the best part about that is they're in 4 different prime locations in the GTA. So wherever our agents are, they can just stop by the office.
Yeah, it's been a really good environment. But before I even dive into like my compliments of it all, of course I'm biased because I'm here, but
No. I mean, you did make the right decision.
Yeah, see? Why do you think we grew so quick, like from 500 to 800 plus? Like what happened?
Well, you know what? I feel like a lot of people started for some reason thinking that they're going to be the next selling sunset agent during COVID. So
hey, I told you that in confidence.
I know you were one of them. That's our next show.
Funny.
Don't worry about it. So a lot of the agents that did begin the courses, I think they started doing them during COVID. And then we had this boom last year of agents signing up. Plus the market was, at its best peak too. So
yeah, I think a lot of people saw a lot of people making money. Like that was the thing. Like a lot of people were making a lot of money. The market was hot. Things were selling. Listings were everywhere.
Yes.
You get 23 offers in a night, and people were making big money. And it was like, hey, yeah, let's hop on that train. And then you had, like you said, the shows like Selling Sunset glamorize that. Like you're gonna come to work in your Lamborghini and your heels every day.
Yes, of course.
But unfortunately, the music has stopped.
That's not the case. At least right now, right? Everything slowed down a little bit. But I want to jump back to you. Why did you decide to get your real estate license?
My background, I like the way you flip the tables there. I mean, I ran a marketing agency for like almost a decade.
Right,
that was like my identity. But in the background, I was always involved in real estate from an investment standpoint. My family flips houses. We do a bunch every year. We're in a bunch of different investments on the residential side, and I've always been around it, familiar with it. And when I sold my marketing agency earlier this year, and I made a full exit, I kind of needed something to do day to day. And so like in preparation for that, I figured I'm already in real estate. The investment side is not necessarily busy enough to keep me busy all day, every day. Like there's time to do stuff.
Yeah, I know. You go like 150 kilometers an hour.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Can't sit,
I can't rest. So like I needed something to fill my day. And so naturally I was like, I mean, we're doing transactions anyway. We own property anyway. We're constantly selling and buying. I might as well just support that effort instead of like, going outside of the house, so to speak, to do it. Let's just bring it all internal. And that's kind of, and I watched Selling Sunset. That was the second big piece. But yeah, those two things, I'm just kidding. But that was the reason why I really kind of got into it. And man, it's just been, I kind of took it by the seat of the pants ever since. And bugging you with a bunch of questions.
No bugging. One of the things that I remember when you first came into the office for an interview was how quickly you finished those courses. I think you're actually one of the agents in this office who finished those courses in 3 months?
Yeah. Yeah, it's about 3 months.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
You
that was
literally
a
were
ride.
just studying every single day. I remember I asked you when are you going to finish your courses, and you're like, oh, I'm planning to finish them in a month and a half, and you were only like halfway through.
Yeah, everyone looked at me so weird. I didn't know why.
I'm like, okay, this guy is very ambitious. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, I'm going to finish them. I'm like, okay, let's see how this guy does.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, like, at the time, I was still running my marketing agency, so we had what were we, four or five full-time staff. And me, I was managing already at that time the acquisition, so the sale of the business. I was already working negotiations at that point.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you know this, but I had our first baby, me and my wife, in November. So I had the baby,
Yes,
was
I
selling the business,
remember.
and started that program.
And you just started. I thought you started already real estate when you guys had.
No, I started the course.
Oh, you started.
I was about halfway through when he was born.
Yes,
It was November. He was born a little bit earlier, and then I had to finish it right after. Yeah.
Yeah, life changing also, right?
Yeah, life change, and that was the other reason why, like, going back to why real estate too, is like the flexibility that it does give.
It does.
Because I already have deal flow, it's good income, but also a lot of freedom. Like, you don't have a ton of overhead, you don't have a ton of staff. You can kind of make your own hours. You're working around whatever you need to be, so you're still flexible. And there's very few businesses or jobs that give you that flexibility. You can't abuse it because you still want to perform. Like, if you want to be a high performing realtor, you still got to work. But
No, you can't. And you know what? Real estate, every long weekend, every vacation that you book, it's like a rule of thumb. Right away, when you're going away somewhere or you just booked a vacation, a lot of people start reaching out to you too. So there are pros and cons with the time flexibility, right? But you can kind of manage your own time. You can try to, right? So another question that I had for you was, what did you think about the Humber courses?
The Humber course. The Humber course was interesting. It's a lot. I think they throw a lot of theory at you really quickly, and I don't know how much of it you absorb in that virtual like context, like having everything just be on like little slideshows you gotta like press through. I felt like I didn't absorb a lot of it, and if I didn't have the background I did, it would have taken me a lot longer to kind of keep it in my head. But because a lot of the concepts were familiar, it was a little easier. But for someone that's not, I can see why it takes so long, because they throw so much like dense content at you so quickly, and it's not like someone's in a room teaching you. You're not asking questions, you're not engaging.
Yeah.
It's very like, just like read these 500 slides, and it's a little bit tiring, it's a little like taxing, but at the same time, I mean, it's good for people that want the convenience. They don't have to go to a classroom, they don't have to take time off work. I can see the benefit of it, but I don't know, I found it very dense. Like, I'd almost rather
No, you know what? I'm so surprised and shocked of how, Humber is all online now, because when I did my courses with ATRIA, we actually had to sit through classes where there's about 30, 40 people, and you communicate with everybody, and everybody's asking questions that you might have. So in regards to that, with all your background that you had, did you learn anything new from the courses that Humber was offering?
Anything new? Yeah, I think a lot of the commercial stuff was really interesting, because it was it came from left field, and I'm glad they kind of inject a little bit of that into the course. And it made me think of some new ways of doing things, and kind of exposed me to some new ideas. The other thing that I learned was definitely on like the transaction side, the legal side, like the actual requirements as an agent, the things you're responsible to know, to figure out, to document properly. The legal side that's because like I've never been on that side of it. Like, we're working with agents, they just handle it. Like, I talk price, we talk stuff, and they do the rest. Now I'm like, oh, this is all the things in the background you have to worry about.
Especially paperwork, right?
I hate paperwork, especially paperwork. It's a lot of paperwork. Like, that's the commission right there. You work it in the paperwork. Like, that's
so funny enough said, we actually have an agent that's with this office that you used to work with when you still didn't have your license, right?
Oh, Mateo, you're talking about.
Yeah.
Mateo's a friend of mine that we've known for a while. He actually found me the house I'm in now.
Yes, he told me that, which is it's a small world, even though we all live so far away from each other.
I know, and you have two other agents here that were in my class at Humber.
Yes, that too. And I actually just had Mateo introduce me to somebody that he knows who he brought in. So it's an ongoing circle.
Damn. See, I mean, that speaks to the brokerage as a whole. Like, I mean, if I'm happy enough to like point everybody here.
I hope so.
Yeah. And I think one of the big reasons I really like working here too is like you guys let me do my own thing. Like when I need help, I have help. And when I don't want to be bothered, no one bugs me. Like
no
one's
course,
pushy,
of course.
which is nice because some brokerages are too much either way. It's like you have no support at all, even when you need it, or that's too in your face, and it's like everything is like what they
mandatory.
Need. Yeah, it's
yes,
like,
none of our training is mandatory, but we do encourage it.
Yeah,
and as you said yourself, there was a lot that you had to still learn even after the courses, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, especially for new agents, like it's a tricky time. I think now more than ever.
Yes.
They got to up the game because it's not what it used to be. You can't just throw up anything and get all these offers and move through these deals. You have to know what you're doing. The technology, the systems, the training gives you an edge.
Yes.
It gives you an edge when you're presenting to clients. It gives you an edge when you're transacting on deals. So I think, I mean, moving forward, like what do you think on that? Like with new agents in the future of this business too, like for all these people that want to get into this, what are we going through right now? Like what's happening?
I encourage getting into it right now. You as a new agent wouldn't want to get into it when the market was insane busy. Like you said, we had 25 offers on the property and you had no idea what you're doing with the paperwork, for example, right? So right now I do suggest for anybody who is new to get into it now, because you can get the proper training, you can figure out what's going on in the office, you can figure out how to do your paperwork, what's the legal side of everything as well, right? So I do believe that next year is looking promising for us. I do believe that in the second quarter we're hoping there should be one more rate hike, or they're just going to keep it steady. But the moment that rate will drop, everything will pick up again like crazy, and you want to be ready for that moment. You don't want to start prospecting then, doing all your marketing, getting ready, all your different listings, all your different buyers. You need to make sure that they are up to date right now, and you just need to keep in touch with them, and you have to hold their hand throughout this little gap.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I have a similar opinion too, and I think a big reason why you should start now is because you do learn more when stuff sucks. Like when it's harder, you have to do more work. You have to actually learn how to market, how to brand, how to network.
Whoever survives this, that's who is going to be making it next year.
Yeah.
Because if you can't survive these couple of months that are down, then this isn't the industry for you.
100%. And it's hard too. Like a lot of new agents that don't have a business background, maybe they came from a corporate job, the corporate world, they're not used to like cash flow management as a thought. And so there's huge time delays between when you start, when you sell your first deal, and when you actually get paid.
Yes.
That can be a 6-month window from like finishing your course, getting into a brokerage, actually getting your first listing, then selling your listing, then waiting for closing.
Yes.
That's challenging normally, and it's more challenging in a slow market when you may not get that deal for a lot longer. Do you see a lot of agents still, like even here at our brokerage, like do they keep their jobs and start selling real estate? Is it a side thing, or do they go all in on it?
You know what? We have a mix of agents who are still, keeping their full-time jobs, and then we have agents who just dived into this full-time. So it's a little bit of a balance. I do understand the frustration that's going on. I do have a lot of agents who are coming in, and I can tell that nothing is happening. They're just following up. So I do believe that as long as you prospect enough at this moment, you should be fine.
Cool. So when you're a new agent, you're coming to the world, you obviously have to, at least in Ontario, you have to sign with the brokerage. You can't go independent right away. No. So you have to be licensed through a brokerage to sell real estate in Ontario. How does an agent choose the right brokerage? Because that was overwhelming for me. It's like, where do you start? Like, where do you even look? Why? How? What should you be thinking about?
Well, how did you start?
The worst way possible.
What
you want to know
mean?
how? So Pass It was our study tool that we use.
Yes.
You guys, I think, advertise in Pass It.
Yes. Apparently, there's like a little button where you can send, a request to all the brokerages that are around you.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. And did you press it?
I did.
And
I
it
pressed
went to everybody.
And you had the best. Okay, Stephen Chow, you're listening to this. Jenna had the best follow up of like every other agent. Like
it's all
legit.
about follow up.
From when you called me, when you first reached out, the next closest agent to you was 2 days later. It wasn't like hours. It was like days.
I usually, the moment those hit my inbox, I call right away and I get you in, because otherwise somebody else going to get you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter for me if you interview me first or last, because I know you're just going to end up being with me. It's just an honest, answer.
It's true.
I had an agent who came in yesterday to sign up, and he's like, Jenna, I interviewed 10 other brokerages after you, and what stuck out to me out of our interview is you said, I'll be back. So
genius. Yeah, so that did work. And the do you have a marketing background? No, just real estate, right?
No, just real estate.
Because that's like rule number one we talk about a lot in marketing is like lead follow-up time, sales and marketing. But it's like marketers hate when they work for companies to drive leads, but then the follow-up sucks. And marketers always try to instill in companies like you need a process to follow up immediately, like in the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And a lot of companies don't seem to get that. They're like, why? I can just do it tomorrow in the morning. Like,
well, it's like online gen, right? When you're
Yeah.
paying for those leads, you have to follow up, I think, within the next like 5 minutes as you get them, because otherwise, it's timed out already. But how many brokerages did you interview total? You never told me that.
Like 2, 3.
Really?
I talked to you.
I signed you up on the spot.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes.
I came down for that appointment.
Yes,
Like I knew already. I think I talked to one other one on the way, or 2, but before that appointment, because they basically followed up with me. So when I did the general inquiry, they were just people calling me back after you had called me back.
Okay.
So I talked to 1 or 2, but nothing about them was like special. Like nothing, just bland. And you guys had a good value proposition. You had good commission splits. And when I came in to see you, nice offices, nice kind of like feeling of like you guys have a lot of systems. You guys have a lot of training. You have a lot of kind of community. There's a lot of things that I liked. And then still that thing of independence where you're like, yeah, you don't have to like do anything. Like just if you need help, ask for help.
Yes.
Otherwise, we encourage obviously participation, but like do what you need to do.
Of course.
And so that paired with everything else, I was like, why? I've been in business for a really long time, and sometimes just like you don't have to always shop things around because sometimes you're just wasting time. Like sometimes when you know something's close enough, it's close enough. It's like we'll talk to 10 other people to do what? Get more uncertainty of where to go. And then come back anyway.
You get mixed up in your head too, right?
Yeah.
If you imagine like doing 10 interviews with the other brokerages, it just all gets mixed up, and you get to follow up again and all of that, right? So
For sure.
no, I remember that day you came in and we had our little chit chat. But it's also about like I don't sign up everybody. I'll be honest with you. It's if I don't connect with you, if we don't click personality-wise, work ethics, just in general, if we don't click, I don't feel like you would be a great fit, because Century 21, it is a global brand. And Century 21 ATRIA, one of the things that I love about it is the culture. I feel like everybody is just really, really nice. If you come into the office and, you have a question, you can even ask another realtor to help you because they understand that you have all different clients at the end of the day. Yeah. And if you won't, participate in that, or I don't feel like you would fit in, it's a no for me. I'm okay to say no to a sign up.
Yeah, you have to protect the culture overall.
Yes.
Otherwise it gets diluted, and bad culture hurts everybody.
Yes.
Because when you work, like when you're part of a team, in this case a brokerage, but when you're part of like a team that someone in that is poisonous, someone that is lazy, someone that has a bad attitude, it makes the higher performers resent working there, because they don't want to be around it.
Yeah, they don't want to come in. And those are the guys that I would suggest for you to learn from, right? Because they've been in the industry for so long.
Exactly. So you want to foster that culture of like performance. And to do that, you have to get rid of the people that are not in line with that and avoid them at all costs, because they're like a poison. I know, I've seen that firsthand. So
it's
I
like
think
any
smart.
workspace, right?
Yeah.
So I remember, I think it took you only a couple of months to get on the top 10, 20 agents of the month.
Yeah, twice.
Do you remember that? Twice?
Yeah, I cheated because they're our own deals.
No.
So
why would you say that?
Because I have to be honest. We're all about transparency. No, I mean, in fairness, I've also given away almost. I have one recently closed, but I have 6 referrals out right now that are listed. So I give away a lot of deals to partnering agents because I'm focused on the investment side more. Doesn't mean all of them, but certain deals. If they're not the right deal for me, I'll give them away. So a lot of the deals are our own. I'm an investor, like I said. I sell our own deals.
Yes.
But also I get a bunch. Like I advertise still. I get a bunch of inbound leads.
Of course.
I pass those out. And so, but the infrastructure and support I've had from you guys has been helpful in doing that.
No, it's great. I appreciate it.
I've used a lot of the tools. I was actually, remember that whole thing about me pushing for tools that I was like trying to figure out how to use?
Yes, and you figured it out for the whole brokerage.
Yeah, there was some stuff that wasn't like firing. I was like, okay, we got to figure this out. So like I use a lot of the tools. Like I make use of all of it.
What's like your favorite tool that
the advertise. So you guys have access to, what's the advertising one? It's called
C21 Marketing?
C21 Marketing is actually really good. So I've been using Promote C21 Marketing for print. You guys have access. I don't know if you've ever played with this, but UPS automated marketing.
No, yeah, it's right in there, built
which
in
is
for
super
you.
cool.
Yeah.
So I've used that. I've done a lot. Every time we get a listing, I do print campaigns in the area, so like just listed, and I also do sold campaigns. So when we sell, I hit the whole neighborhood with like, hey, we just sold. Here's the pictures. Here's how we did it.
It's just a couple of clicks, right? So
couple
it's
of
super
clicks
easy to use.
in
That's
the
what we're
system.
all about. You just do a couple of clicks, and you're out there actually communicating with your client in person.
It's like you can do so much. Like from the systems you guys have, like I'm doing print, I'm doing Google. So like PPC stuff, I'm doing social ads, I'm doing all the content stuff, all through the same C21 systems that we have access to.
So would you say you're busy enough that you're looking for like an administrative or you're looking for an agent to partner up with? Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I mean, yes, for sure. I think I got to get to a point where like I have the lead flow, but I don't want to be crazy busy just doing that all day long. And so I think at some point, an admin maybe for paperwork, and then also a partner. Like I think I hate saying team because sometimes the team structure, I don't know how much I vibe with it in the way that's been done. Because sometimes you set up a team, you attract a lot of agents that just want lead flow. They don't want to do the work. Of course. Right? And so I want to find a way. What I want is like you mentioned, like Mateo, or I have another friend of mine, Adam Simpson, if he's listening.
Should come by the office.
He should come by the office. He's like a real hustler in the real estate world, and he's the kind of guy that like puts in the work, like boots on the ground. He'll knock doors all day. I'd like to get someone like that in line with me, and I don't want to call it a team. I just want to call it a partnership.
Because you guys are all on the same level. Like I could see all three of you working together
100%.
and literally taking over.
100%. It'd be crazy. And so I want to frame that as a partnership and like, hey, I do what I do, which is marketing. Like I can market better than most agents will ever be able to market. That's a decade of doing it with millions of dollars. And I bring that to real estate, so I can do that part of it. And then having agents that can do boots on the ground, that can have conversations, that can door knock, that can build relationships to execute when you bring those leads in would be killer. And then some good admin support. Yeah, I'd love that. And that's probably the future.
I could see it at least in the next year probably, right?
So if anyone's listening or you know anybody.
Anybody's listening, yeah, for sure.
We're going to get DMs now like, I want to join the team for free leads.
But you got to join Century 21 Atria
first. You have to join Atria first, yeah. Which you guys have a unique kind of opportunity for new agents too, which is pre-con.
Oh, that's a whole different topic.
If we don't talk about
that's
it,
a whole different podcast. Stephen Chow, we're talking about pre-con.
Pre-con. I don't do a lot of it, but maybe you can go into, because I think that's really cool for new agents that say, I don't have a listing, I don't have a deal, what do I sell? That's a big opportunity.
It's a big opportunity, especially right now, right? Because the interest rates are so high. If you're buying pre-con, if somebody is a first-time home buyer and they're buying pre-con, that pre-construction, site, that condo or, home will be only completed in the next few years. It could take up to 5 years. And everybody is, forecasting, especially the banks right now, that the rates will drop by then, back to at least 2.5. I mean, we're all hoping for that, right? So it is a great opportunity to grab right now, because you could still get a deal done and get some portion of your commission paid out, and then your clients will be happy with the rate that they're closing, right? But pre-con in general with Century 21 Atria, it's a huge department on its own. We do have crazy platinum access. It's all thanks to Stephen Chow. He does have all these builder connections. They're all friends from high school. Yeah. All you have to do is just go on his Instagram and see him attending all these previews, all these sales events where there's only about 10 to 20 people invited. So if you don't see your broker of record at these events, that means your brokerage doesn't have the platinum access that they're advertising about. And the best part about that is we do have a management team. Andy and Amy, they are our pre-construction management team. They are just like me, they're available any time of any day. They go to the builder, they collect all this information beautifully for you right away in your drive. Yeah. You send it to your clients, they pick and choose first choice, lowest pricing per square foot. And the best part about that for new agents is we have a marketing department that will put a lot of the marketing pieces together for everybody that you can customize to yourself. So you can start posting all of this on social media. You can start attending all these pre-construction events and show the world that, hey, I am in real estate. Yes, I'm new, but I'm getting into it. I'm learning about it. And guess what? We have this crazy, crazy platinum access.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a huge opportunity because, I mean, there's some people that have a fear of getting to real estate thinking, I don't have really a lot of connections maybe. I don't know anyone selling real estate. Like I'm not, but there's people that will do so good in pre-con that maybe they went to a school downtown. They have a lot of friends at U of T. And those people now that are getting jobs in the city are all looking for condos or looking for spots or looking for the hottest new thing.
Yes.
And there's agents that will crush it just from that existing network. They didn't even know they could monetize because like what you're talking about, for those that don't really like know or haven't seen pre-con as a thing, the moment you join Atria, right? And like, correct me if I'm wrong, but the moment you join Atria, you get access to a ton of new projects that are going up in the city that you can just sell. So you can go out and market these things with the material that our office already provides you. Just literally post it on your social, market it, sell these things, and get paid commissions. You don't need to go find clients. You need to go pull listings. It's already here. You just got to plug it in and sell.
It's all there right away for you. And Andy and Amy, once you join the office, they do sit down with you and they go over all that material on the drive. And they do recommend which site you should be advertising to your type of clients, right? Because everybody has a different clientele. So pre-con for new agents, I think it's amazing, especially in this market right now.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's a big opportunity. Would you say that's the biggest opportunity right now for new agents starting, or is there something else, something secret like people should be like looking into?
No, it's not the biggest, I would say. It works really well in that transformation of letting the world know you're a realtor now. For example, we had an agent Nathan. We had an agent who joined the downtown location. He is a flight attendant for Air Canada. Have you met him? No. You haven't met him because he's really, really busy flying around the world. But guess what? Back last winter, he posted, I believe it was 8 Elm, that project, on his Instagram. And somebody from his Instagram reached out to him. I mean, he knew who he was, but he hasn't talked to that person in a long, long time. The following weekend, he sold 2 units.
Wow.
He was so happy.
Yeah.
Just from one post, right?
That is cool.
And then builders pay anywhere, from 4% sometimes.
It's huge. Yeah. That's another thing people don't realize is pre-con pays better commission than resale.
It is. It is better. Cases, But it is also, you have got to keep in mind, remember, it is all divided up. Yeah. So it's a scheduling process. So you get paid at the beginning a little bit, and then there's a portion that when they start building, and then et cetera, et cetera.
Back to cash flow management again.
Yes, of course.
Cool. I mean, the only thing I want to cover outside of that, because I think we talked about a lot of, good key points, but real estate market on the whole, like we kind of touched pieces of this.
Yes.
What do you see? Because there's a lot of, there's the side of, and no one knows, no crystal ball, but there's a side of it. Rates are going to come down. Housing is going to boom back up again. We're going to grow. And then there's the side of like, or maybe it stays flat and we kind of sit where we are for 2 or 3 years.
Definitely no.
And that's the thing. Like, what do you see, not just right now, but like over the next, let's just say further, the next 5 years in Ontario real estate?
Yes.
Like, are we seeing $2 million Bradford homes in this crazy booming market? Like, what are we looking at?
I feel like that would be the max that it would reach maybe in Bradford. We do see already 2 million up in East Gwillimbury where we are, right?
Yeah.
So that's already reached there at this point, right? So I do believe next year will be the transitioning point. Yeah. I believe between everything with the rates and the prices. I don't think that anything will fall. I mean, they just forecasted last month that prices went up by 9%, right? Yeah. So inventory is down, and there's a lot of people coming into Canada right now. There's a lot of people that want to build, a family and start it in a home. Yeah. So the demand is there, the people are there. Unfortunately, pre-construction isn't keeping up as much as it can with it. So I do believe that Canadian real estate market is the best market to invest in at this moment anyways.
The thing that I was going to say on that note too is that, yeah, you're right. Like there's a lot of factors that make it very difficult for real estate to ever really come down, which is unfortunate for the people that can't afford a house, because I know that's a real problem. Like affordability is a real issue. And at some point that has to be fixed, because otherwise you get a lot of people that are going to be very angry for a very long time because they can't get into the market in a certain way, right?
But do you believe they'll be able to fix it? Because I don't think anybody will be able to fix
I
the
don't
gap
think
that
so.
we're in.
I don't think there's anything you can do to bring prices down, because not significantly for the long term at least, because of all those factors we talked about. The only thing you can hope to do is get incomes up, but then that puts more demand pressure, which makes the problem worse. Or the only real solution is increase supply substantially.
Yes.
We had Trudeau. I was here. This is we're filming now in October, but about a week ago, we had Trudeau down the road. I don't know if you heard about this. He was right here by our office doing an announcement of I think it was $59 million to build dedicated rental housing, though. So not even that.
I've heard about that, but I didn't know it was down here.
He was literally right across. We saw the trucks leaving that day. We were here setting up. It was wild.
I was probably in Calgary.
You were gone. But my point with that one was they're talking about something like building 40,000 units over like 10 years. When we have an increasing demand of 1 million plus per year between students and permanent residents, like building 40,000 homes over 10 years changes nothing when you're having a demand of it. So it's very, very hard. Like when we say supply has to come up, it's very hard for supply to come up. You'd have to probably have it come up to 400,000 or 500,000 additional units a year to even make an impact to the point where pricing would even soften or come down. That's hard. So something has to be fixed. I don't know how or when, but I think the worst case scenario the Canadian market ever sees is growth stagnates a little bit for a period of time. That's like the worst case scenario, is to just kind of hold things for a few years while the rest of the economy catches up, while jobs catch up, while income catches up. Or there isn't a solution and 70% of the country is just basically going to the rental market. And that's just what we become, a country of renters.
Yes.
But then the question is, who owns all the assets?
Of course.
It's a whole other rabbit hole.
Who's owning all the other assets? No, I had a friend who reached out to me and she's like, listen, we're paying this mortgage, but it feels like we're just paying rent and everything is going, to interest, right? So what do we do? So I told her, I'm like, don't do anything. Just try to pull through the next few months because everything will change. I hope everything will change, right? If you have, the extra cash flow, you should be investing right now and just sitting on the variable and then it will come down slowly.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I can see that there's a lot of struggle right now with rates and mortgages. People that bought at the peak that now we're on a variable and are at 5%, 6%, 7%.
It's insane. Yeah, a lot of people are on
that's
those
starting
rates.
to hurt.
It's okay. It's just like me right before COVID who switched her mortgage rate on a fixed.
There we go.
And then I remember the mortgage broker was like, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm like, well, me neither. Who knew the pandemic was going to happen, right? So everything.
I'm a big fan of fixed rate mortgages, by the way.
Me too.
And
I like the safe side.
That's what I was going to say, because you actually mitigate your downside completely. So yes, you miss out on possible upside in the chance that there is one.
Of course.
But you completely eliminate downside, which means you'll never lose beyond what you know you're already in.
Yes.
I like that.
Me too.
And I'd still probably even do that today for short term. Like I'd probably still do a 2-year because
you can do 2-year.
100%. Yeah, because in the case that, well, first of all, those fixed rates, not to make this a mortgage conversation, but those fixed rates.
We've turned this into a mortgage.
Hey, those fixed rates are like 1.5% lower than the variables.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
and so you'd have to have the market come down at least 1.5% to be even.
Yes.
And so if it doesn't, you're at the same point anyway. And if it goes lower than that, anyway, a big fan of fixed rate is my point. I won't go down the whole mortgage rabbit hole, but I think that it's a big player in how it affects us as agents. Mortgage rates drive activity in the market. And I think where they're at now is also pushing a lot of people to sell, which could be bringing a lot of listings.
It is pushing people to sell and go to rent, right?
100%. Because we buy a lot of those. Like on the investment side, the investment company that we have as a family, we buy a lot of homes from people that their interest rate has gone through the roof and the mortgage for their house has doubled or tripled. Some of them that have second mortgages or mortgage B lenders, and they can't make those payments anymore. It's like they went from $2,000 a month to like $6,500 a month.
Yeah, no,
and they just can't do it.
It's a significant increase, but the problem with that is once they go into rent and if they don't have any other properties, once the market starts going up, the stress test will be very difficult for them to pass, right? So they're going to be stuck in that rental, unfortunately. So if you can hold on to your property, just do it for the next couple of months and just ride through it, because otherwise, when you get rid of that one, it's going to be hard for you to get pre-approved again.
100%. I mean, buyers agents must be having a very rough time this year because it's a lot more work now. These clients are not getting approvals. They're not getting what they need. I mean, on one hand, it's a buyer's market, so it's great. They can throw their conditions in, they can take their time. But on the other side, working with these clients and making sure they're actually getting pre-approvals and that those pre-approvals stick.
It's hard. It's hard. Even a pre-approval is nothing these days, right?
That's
Until you're actually there, and then, God forbid you have that, appraisal assessment 10 days before closing, and you have to pitch in another $50K because you overbought, right?
So that's a hard spot. I feel for the buyer's agents that are navigating that with their clients, and I see them on the other side of our transactions a lot. And you get now a lot of that, like, oh, we'll put an offer on this house conditional on my client's house selling, because they just don't know.
Yes, the escape clause. I actually had somebody ask me about that yesterday. Like, what is this? It's like a whole new category for agents. We even had some training on that the moment it popped up. Speaking of buyer agents, what's your favorite side, buyer or listing?
My favorite side is listing for sure.
Why?
In my position, so it's not really a preference, but because I have the available deals to be done, it's also in one sense less work. So I'm not driving around showing all these locations, meeting with clients constantly. I'm able to just put up a property, field offers, and do my deal. But I think the buyer side could be more fun. It's more work, but it's also more engaging. But I'm curious on your thought on that.
No, when I started off in real estate, I used to love the buyer side, and I feel like that's a lot of what the new agents, like to do, go drive around, look at different houses. But after a while, you realize that it does take a lot of time. A lot of time. I remember when I started off, I had one client. We drove around for 3 months looking at properties right up north. It was pretty far.
I hope you guys stopped for lunch at least once in that 3 months.
Yes.
Living in a car for 3 months is a lot of work.
Lots of lunches, lots of wine dinners. But what happened is I did see the benefit of being a listing agent, right? You list a property, you do all the marketing, it's a different strategy of selling, and it's a different relationship with your client, even the sellers, right? And the moment that, your property sells on that street over the other 10 homes in that area, that's when you can give yourself a pat in the back, and it's kind of a game as well.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And there's agents like our friend Adam, again, coming back to him. He actually loves, we were talking about this a few days ago, it's fresh in my mind, but he loves working with buyers now.
Really?
Because he's saying that it's such a buyer's market right now that he feels, A, the wins are easier, and B, there's more sellers desperate to sell. There's people that can't make their mortgage payment, like I said, and they're more motivated. So he's able to go in and actually snatch things way easier than you used to be when you're competing with 20 offers. Now you don't have that competition. So as long as you're willing to hit the road and do the work, the actual process of getting your offers in and accepted now
it's actually faster
much
now,
easier.
Right?
Yeah, much faster, much easier. And the money's the same. So it's like you don't get shortchanged on the money side. It's just more work, right?
Back in the day when we had the multiple offers presentations, I remember it's like, if you have 17 offers, there's 17 cars parked outside on your street, 17 agents to talk to. We don't have broker based. We had to text message each agent the same thing, to keep them updated. Everybody's walking back and forth, signing in the car. I kind of miss those days.
I can't even imagine that. It's so different from how we operate now. I can't even picture how long ago was that? Like, when did we go digital?
That's when I started. So I believe still at the beginning of 2010, we were still doing that.
2010,
we were still doing that.
Really?
For sure.
That recent? We're all physical? Oh, man.
I believe so, yeah.
Real estate industry was behind.
I think it changed just around there, yeah. But before that, agents used to drive around to clients' homes for signatures.
Yeah, that's crazy. I remember being a kid with my parents when they were looking for cottages up north when I was little. I was like 5. And driving in the back of the real estate agent's car that would just drive us around.
Yes. Yeah, agents used to drive their clients around. Damn. Yes, that was also a whole thing.
I was asked by an older client recently that I was dealing with, and he was saying, he's like, do agents still drive you around in the car? Like, do we come with you? I'm like, no, you take your own car.
You have a GPS.
Get out of my car, Timothy. Yeah, they're still used to it. They haven't bought a home in 10, 15 years. They're still used to it. Now, I do know very high-end agents that still provide that level of service, and it kind of makes sense. Like, I know someone in the commercial side that deals with older clients, but they're selling $30 million buildings. And to sell a $30 million building, I'll buy the car just for you to ride in with me.
It makes sense during winter months.
Yeah.
And your guys are not into cars. It's just one car, so it does make sense that way.
A little easier. I guess back then, too, you didn't have well, I guess you had cell phones, but now it's so easy to text.
Yes, we have cell phones.
It's so much easier now to text though, when you're driving around versus Like, I can imagine back then you're trying to go to properties. Oh, don't turn here, turn there. Oh, no, go left on here. Oh, no, the house is back here. And you're trying to call them like 22 times to find a spot.
Listen, like back then it was like that book, the map, where you're just flipping through it, right?
I've seen that in the museum once. No, I do remember that. That was when I started working. I was a plumber a long time ago. That's a whole other story. But I remember working with some guys that didn't have GPSs yet, and we used to use maps every morning and open it, find our the addresses, and like, I don't know.
Crazy times, right? Crazy times.
Especially cross border. People go to Florida with a map book. Yeah, I have no idea how that was a thing.
How does that? You just plug it into your GPS and you go. That's it.
Yeah, that was
Waze all the way.
Man, but anyway, thank you for that. I mean, that was a good chat. Hopefully, I also answered some of your questions.
Yeah, no, you've answered a lot of them, and anytime you want to have me on this podcast, I'm always there. Awesome. Thanks for being part of Century 21 Atria and bringing in a new perspective.
100%. If you want to leave one tip, if there's any agents listening right now, what's the one thing you want to leave them with?
Call me.
You heard it here first. Deal. Yeah, no, highly recommend. I can't recommend Century 21 Atria enough. Obviously, I'm an agent here, so I'm biased. It's not a promotion. They don't pay me to say this. It's a fantastic brokerage. I brought a lot of my friends here. I point a lot of people here. So
no, they can for sure reach out to you if they have any questions, right?
100%. I'm always here too. If you're trying to get into the real estate world, come to me, and then I'll send you to Jenna. Because I don't have time for that. No, I'm kidding. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Jenna. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was a blast. We'll
Anytime.
have you on again soon.
For sure.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Inside Canadian Real Estate, guys. Don't forget, if you liked the episode, if you found it enjoyable, if you learned something, if you liked our guest, if you liked our topics, don't forget to subscribe to Inside Canadian Real Estate on Instagram. That's where you'll find all of our clips posted. We're also sharing on YouTube, so just search Inside Canadian Real Estate on YouTube. Follow along, and please, 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 if you really want to help the show, because again, there's not a lot of Canadian content on real estate. We're putting a lot of money and time into this. If you really want to help us expand, don't forget, subscribe to the show on wherever you're listening to your podcast. Leave a review if you can, whether it's on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, Spotify. Subscribe to the show, follow the show. Don't forget to leave that review. And please, if you found it useful, share it with somebody. Share it with a friend. We don't charge you for the show. We don't run any ads. All I ask is you share it and help us get the word out. Thanks again, guys.